But I just feel so incredibly called to go out to Peru and not just experience the retreat, but also be a part of it, to help others and be a part of the movement. I just think it's so amazing how much this medicine has helped so many people, and I feel deep within myself that this will also assist me in many ways.
It definitely will. It definitely will. It's a really humbling experience having basically a psychological death. You no longer identify with Jazmin. So just up until that point, there's a lot of fear, and the ego throws out a lot of things to try to densify your consciousness and keep you in the body. But if you can get through all that, and that's what the medicine comes through, she's very caring, and she's very loving, and she will guide you right there, and she's like, everything's okay. When you let go, there's nothing left to fear. The thing that produces fear, the thing that understands itself as limited, you're no longer experiencing yourself as it. You expand out to your natural state, which is infinite, eternal consciousness. So, I mean, I'm a big advocate. I don't do it now because I've gotten to the point where if the circumstances are right, I can vibrate to that same frequency without the spirit's help. She's a spirit. She's actually the spirit of Mother Earth Gaia, and she's here to help people wake up from this dream, which is the dream of thought, distortion.
And I know that I'm still growing, and there's still so much that I'd love to transcend that is still there. And I think that's the main reason why we're here, is because you have a different perspective on it.
Well, I can tell you have a solid intention to expand your consciousness. So every moment with that intention set, you will expand your consciousness. That's exactly what you're putting out, and that's what you will receive. Your word is so powerful, and it's remembering that. So when you say, I don't know what my path is, you're like, stating that out. So I would advise just to be really conscious of your words, because you're so powerful. We're all so powerful. We transmute reality. So you're the creator. So your word is, the word of God. It's more powerful if you're practicing honesty, and the less you tell lies and stuff, the more your word becomes the word of God, because God is truth.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down and be a little more conscious about.
Yeah, just check your thoughts.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are not your thoughts. You're the one that's aware of Jazmin and aware of Jazmin's thoughts. So if Jazmin is sending out thoughts that don't resonate with your true self, it doesn't feel good, like saying, I don't know what my path is, let go of that. Don't identify with that, because those thoughts, that's not you. It's all distortion. Your natural state is bliss, and eternal bliss. And that's your birthright. So don't let check Jazmin all the time. That's what basically sadhana is. That's what spiritual work is. You're checking your ego all the time. And the ego gets out of line all the time. It's a perfect servant. The ego is a perfect servant, but we've, in a big way, let it become the master. It can, it has a lot of control over our consciousness, through sense desires and attachments.
I feel that my ego gets hurt, so to speak, when someone provides me like what you call constructive criticism or feedback, and I'm aware that the person is a mirror for me. They're a reflection of myself.
What I would say about that is if someone is able to affect your state of being, that is actually you're giving them that power. So you're agreeing and you're believing something that they're saying. So somewhere in you have a belief system that is in alignment with what they're saying. So you got to check yourself first. What belief system do I have that is making me believe this distortion? Because nobody can see you. Nobody can see you directly. They only see an idea of you, because all information comes through our lens and it's distorted before it reaches what we really are as consciousness, just awareness. So nobody can see you clearly. Nobody can see you directly. So they're only seeing a projection or a creation of themselves. So to identify with something they're projecting onto you it's a belief system. It means that you don't know yourself well enough, because the only way someone can affect you is if you believe something they're telling you. The more transparent you become to yourself, the more you'll see through any illusion. When you know yourself, truly know yourself, anyone can say anything. Even if it's someone that has strong, like, emotional connection to and has power over your state of being, even that person won't be able to affect you. Because if they say something that's not in alignment with who you know yourself to be, it'll fall away. Oh, I don't believe in that. I'm not buying that. That does not belong to me. You can have it back. I give it back to you. So if anyone is triggering you or affecting you, you're agreeing to it. You have a belief system somewhere that you need to find, dig, like you said, dig deep and uproot that belief. Like, why do I believe that whatever he's saying or they're saying is true? That's the only reason it's affecting you, because you believe it. Somewhere in you, you're like, that's true. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be affected by it at all, because you wouldn't believe it.
Right.
Belief is everything. You construct your entire reality out of belief.
It's amazing. I feel like I know all of these things because I've learned them over the time, me being here and learning about spirituality. But I don't really know them.
We all have all the light, all the information. This is more of an act of remembering and integrating. So what I tell people, especially in considering you had mentioned ayahuasca, so what's going to happen is you're going to transcend all the layers of identity and the density, and you're going to expand back out to your true self. But the real test is, how much can you bring back? Because that's our natural state. That's where we all exist there. That's where we all came from. So you're going to be there, and you're going to be experiencing your eternal self, because there's only this moment. You won't be thinking in linear time, because that's a man-made thing. But the real test is how much you can bring back. How much can you integrate and share with other people? Because you are a vessel. You are a vessel for God's light. You are here to ground that frequency of God, what we are, into the earth. Basically to save this planet, because there's been a certain frequency that's been perpetuated on this planet for so long, and it keeps people enslaved. And it's mental slavery. People think they're free, but
we're really not.
It's a freedom of the mind. Are you able to leave your body at will right now? Are you able to attain a samadhi? So are you free? Are you allowed to come and go? What I tell people is the body is a gift. The body is such a beautiful gift given to us from God and created from nature. However, it's only a prison if you're not able to come and go as you please. Able to expand out and experience your eternal nature and just drink it up and then ground back in. And just, appreciate it. Appreciate the body that you have. It's somewhere to, like, a reference point for your consciousness. And then you have a tool to assist other people. Because I couldn't do this work if I'm in spirit. I need a body. I need a tool. This thing has vocal cords that I can use to translate the frequency of God.
Wow. You have such a way of wording things. You hit it right on the nail. That's one of the things that I've been also questioning was exactly what you just mentioned right now, and it was how much can we bring back. I did try magic mushrooms one time, and it was up to now it's been the most profound experience I've had, because I remembered everything, and I knew who I was. I knew what this. I just it all clicked. It all clicked in my head.
Beautiful.
And it was beautiful, but like you said, how much could I bring back?
Integrate.
Exactly.
Integrate. Yeah, I'm a huge facilitator of psilocybin. Once again, I don't take psilocybin because I'm transcending medicines. I'm transcending physicality. So everything is just frequency. There is no physicality. Physical reality is an illusion. I'll be a stubborn one, Albert Einstein. So when you realize that everything is just energy vibrating at different frequencies. So when you take psilocybin, magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, it's just a permission slip. You're just allowing yourself to be more of what you are. And then you vibrate up, and it's scary because we're so used to being dense. We're so used to being in this body, we're grounded, The body's like, don't leave me. I'm nothing without you. You're the electricity. You're the prana that moves through me. The ego is afraid to lose you, but it's an idea of getting along with the ego. She has to be okay with you coming and going. Has to be okay with you choosing to do things that are more aligned with your spiritual path than with egoism. Because the ego just wants. That's what it does. That's what it is. That's its program. It compartmentalizes information and it desires. So when you start pulling desires from Jazmin, she's going to fight you. She's like, I want that. You don't take that from me. So it's a everyday practice. It's a sadhana of stripping away desires from the ego and getting to the point where the ego is just a servant. The mind is a servant for you. It's not controlling you. You're not having thoughts that distort your frequency anymore because you control your thoughts. Every thought that goes out, every ripple of electromagnetic energy that ripples out into creation, you control because you're in control. You're not allowing the ego to dictate what is real. You can see everything clearly because you know yourself. You are aligned with your true self, which is spirit. That's like the biggest things. And you will experience it on ayahuasca. I mean, some people don't. Some people just go into less dense planes of ego. But for me personally, when I did it, basically every time I transcended all layers of density. And first we have the physicality, the physical plane, which is the densest plane. Then you have the astral plane, which is what you project your consciousness to when you dream. And then you have the causal plane, which is just mental. It's the least dense plane. If you transcend all of those planes of density, there's nothing weighing down your consciousness. There's no density, there's no box to contain what you are. So you just expand, and you expand forever. Because you are eternity. So it's remembering that, like, in every moment. If you live with that, these beings that want to harvest your energy, they can't harvest you because they can't get you to identify with lower vibrational frequency. That's the work. It's checking yourself. You're checking yourself all the time. So, and once you keep doing that, once you keep making decisions from love and from spirit instead of from fear, from lack and from ego, each decision you make shifts you into a parallel reality that's more conducive and more reflective to the life that you prefer. Because this is all just a holographic projection. This is all just a holographic mirror. So it's just reflecting who you think yourself to be, who you know yourself to be. It's love for the true self. It's love for spirit, and it's love for who we really are. There's so many things that you abstain from out of love. And the ego is like, oh no, that's not out of love because that hurt. I want that, But it is out of love because you appreciate the vessel. And you know that this vessel has to be very, very pure and very, very clean to house the frequency. If you want to integrate these higher planes, you have to be pure, like super pure, and you have to do the work. Because then you can sit here with God coming from your eyes, and you can affect anybody. I've had people experience ayahuasca, and I didn't give them any ayahuasca. I was vibrating at the frequency of ayahuasca. He came into my field, and the first thing I said, I didn't have to open my eyes because everything's holographic, and you're seeing with the third eye, the pineal gland. And the first thing I say is, you're coming with us. And I immediately saw his energetic body densify. I saw him agree to an idea of fear, and he's like, no, I'm just here to watch, He already understood that I could take him there without him taking anything. So he sat down, and it took 3 hours of poking at his conscious mind and a subconscious mind, and he would come in, and then he'd hit the wall, and he'd hit fear, and he'd densify, and he'd literally have to move out because nothing too dense can exist in the higher planes. That's why if you're vibrating on higher planes, these dense beings that want to control you and harvest you, they don't exist there. They're too dense. Right. They fall from there. So they can't even lock onto you or see you. We're not in the same frequency band. If they could get me to identify with fear, I would be in their gameplay, and they can control me all they want. But if you stay in the higher planes, that's God's territory. You can bring a small light into a dark room and light the room up, but you can't bring any amount of darkness into a well-lit room and make it lit. That's true. So these darkness trying to come up into these higher well-lit planes, you can't do it. No amount of darkness can penetrate that. I'm turning on. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, it's starting to come through a little bit.
Oh, wow. I'm just like, whoa. I'm like picturing all of this in my head as you're speaking it. So it's like,
you're definitely downloading. I can see that you're downloading. And the more you download and the more that you raise your frequency to match, the higher and higher I can go. We could experience ayahuasca during this conversation. Ayahuasca is just a frequency range. It's just a physical representation of a permission slip that you give yourself to become more of who you are, to be aware of more of who you are, which is infinite consciousness.
I already feel like...
Oh, you're buzzing.
You're
buzzing.
Yeah,
you're
I
buzzing.
feel like I'm buzzing.
You're high. We don't need to take anything to get high. What the words of Salvador Dali, I don't do drugs, I am drugs. I love that quote, because he understood that everything is just frequency range. I stopped smoking cannabis. I love cannabis, but I haven't been called to do it in 2 years. The same with ayahuasca, same with psilocybin. I still love those nature spirits, and I would still recommend them to everybody who still needs them, who still needs to see them. But at a certain point, you have to be able to get to these states, these levels of awareness and these vibrational planes without the help or assistance from mother. The idea of ascending is you're no longer dependent on your mother. And these are the really high planes where you transcend needing to eat and needing to drink. But right here is just no longer needing to smoke cannabis. I mean, it makes you high. It raises your vibrational frequency. But if you can do that yourself, what do you need the plant for? I did one of my 50th or 60th ayahuasca journeys. She told me, she's like, okay, so you see this, right? You know this. We need you to get there without taking anything. We need you to get to these planes and without taking anything, because people will be so much more affected if you can take them to these super high planes without having to give them anything or without taking anything yourself. If you can sit with someone and chant and just bring it through and vibrate and keep vibrating up, they're going to be so much more affected. Like the man that I took on an ayahuasca journey without giving him any ayahuasca, when he finally let go of his ego, which it took 3 hours, no joke, he started glowing in the dark. He emitted light. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And then he started purging. He didn't know exactly what he was doing, but he was... And I told him later he was purging, and he was on the same frequency band as my Tyler and I, which was his cousin. So, and at that point, there is no perceived separation between our hearts and our minds at all. There's no separation. Like we are having the same. We are the same. It's not that I give you a thought and you're like, oh, I pick up on the thought. No, we're the same mind. You realize that we're the same consciousness. I mean, it's right now. That's the truth right now. But we're identified so densely with these ideas of self, and that creates separation, the illusion of separation. There is no true separation between any of us. So when you know that too, that's more power, that's more siddhis you get, spiritual power. You know that we're all connected. You don't think it, you know it, and that's different. The reason I can say these things in these ways is because I don't speak from intellectual knowledge. I've experienced it. I've experienced these higher planes. I'm experiencing them now, just on a more subtle degree, much more subtle degree. And because of that, the truth radiates from like my atoms. The truth carries so much more weight when you're saying it with such conviction of experience. Because there's a huge difference between knowledge and experience, knowledge and wisdom. You can read a book on surfing, but until you go out there and you're surfing and you learn how to surf, you don't know how to surf. You have to have the experience.
That's where I'm at.
That's a big reason why we're here. We didn't know what it was like to completely densify our consciousness to the point where we have no idea of who we are. We completely submerge ourselves in darkness when we come to this planet. Complete amnesia. You even start picking up information while you're in your mother's stomach. All light comes to this little point, and that's why we're so attached to it. All information, all light has come to this Jazmin. Jazmin, you're good. Okay, Jazmin's good. Jazmin, you're bad. Okay, Jazmin's bad. You have everything created from this little point. So the idea of letting go of that little point is extremely terrifying. But when you do it, when you're able to do it, there's no greater liberation. You experience what you are, what we all are. You'll be vibrating more quickly. So the energy of your thought, the electromagnetic field that you pump out, our heart creates an electromagnetic field, our mind creates an electromagnetic field. The heart's actually 3,000 times more powerful. So if you come from the heart, and you're vibrating on these higher planes, and you know to stay there. You don't let the ego drag you down to these lower planes, because it will. It loves to do that. It wants to keep the consciousness densified in the body. But once you're in these higher planes, and once you're doing everything in every moment to reach these higher planes, which you're doing right now by facilitating this conversation, in every single moment, you have the choice. It's nobody else's choice. Nobody can make that choice from you. Circumstances do not dictate this choice. You have the choice in every moment between love, spirit, and fear, ego. In every single moment, that's your choice. Nobody can make that choice for you. So if you're saying, oh, like, you have to take responsibility completely for your reality. Nobody can affect you. You affect you. Nobody has power over you. You let them have power over you. You agree. So it's the idea of finding these belief systems that you still have somewhere in you and uprooting them, burning them in the fire of sadhana, spiritual practice, continually working towards knowing yourself and not allowing anything to get in your way. You know, you felt it, you feel it now. You've always known, we always know, we all know, but we forget. We come here and we forget. And the idea is, even though they have this really powerful construct set up to keep us asleep, you have to transcend all of that. Think about the leap in consciousness that you're going to get from transcending all of this darkness. There's not much denser planes of limitation that you could take on. This is the show. That's why there's so many eyes on this planet right now. We are doing something that's never been done in creation. You're coming to a planet completely forgetting who you are. With all that, remember who you are, vibrate up, embody that, and then share it with the world. The body, the earth, is negative ions. The heavens are positive ions. You are the fusion of the two. You bring heaven to earth. That's your job. That's what you're here for. You bring heaven to earth. And that's why they pump with these bullshit cell towers. They're actually called ELF towers, which is extremely low frequency towers, because they got to keep you in a very low bandwidth. But your natural state is boundless, infinite, love. That's always what you're going to be. You'll never not be that. But if you believe you're not, if you get attached to this and attached to ideas, programming, you'll trap consciousness. As if you can't really do that, but you experience it. You experience the trap of consciousness. You experience this limited idea, this limited expression of yourself, which I love it. I love Jake. We get along amazingly. But we know what we are. I know what he is. He's not real because he's in time. He's passing. And anything that's in time is ephemeral. Anything that's passing can't be real. We are eternity. So if you're seeing anything that's passing, that goes away, it can't be real. How could it be real? We're eternity. So you start to see, oh, this is all illusion. I know Jake to be an illusion. So Jake no longer has control, and Jake's like relinquished control. Because a lot of people use spirituality as a badge for their ego. I'm spiritual. I'm getting siddhis. I'm getting spiritual powers. I can ash project. But that's a joke. That's a joke. That's like saying that the ego is spirit, and that's completely ignorant. The ego exists within spirit. Everything exists within spirit. You don't have consciousness. You are consciousness. Jazmin is inside of that. All I'm doing is revealing and reflecting what you already are. I'm just a mirror. We all share the infinite conscious. We all share the same thing. I don't have anything. This isn't even me. This is God. This is you. This is just light. I don't take this thing seriously. I used to. And then I realized it's not real. So why would I take it seriously? We are the light of creation. We are infinite. We are eternal. Goodness. And we will return to that. And there's nobody that can stop us. There's nobody powerful enough to stop us. There's nobody more powerful than God, the light of creation, the love of the spinning galaxy.